So our signal is actually from the previous period, but our trade is in the next period. So in order to do this, what we need to do is we need to shift our returns to the left in order to align them with the trading signal, because otherwise it won't work. I can actually show you the effect in a moment. We can do the returns, and what we can do is we can say we want the returns where our sign is larger than 0, right? Our signals are larger than 0. But what we need to do now is we also need to align those. So we need to take the returns that start with 1 to the end. But in this case, we need to return the returns that start with 0 and go to -1. Otherwise, our two series will have different length, and NumPy will not like this. And so when we do this, we get actually a result. See? So what we've done here is basically we shifted our returns to the left, and we shifted our prices to the right by doing this indexing here. Okay? And then all we need to do is we need to calculate the cumulative sum of these. So there's two ways to calculate P&L curves. One is using the cumulative sum, which is basically a non-compounding return portfolio, or we use the cumulative product, which gives us a compounding return portfolio. Now, often the non-compounding return portfolio is a bit more informative because it doesn't actually have this exponential property. So when we have compounding, often our P&L will just grow exponentially, and that gives us often very inflated results, which is not really what we want. So let's just plot this. So this is actually our first backtest. And as you can see here, this is the return function of our backtest. It's, not fantastic, but it's something. In the last few years, it's actually done really well. But prior to that, it's not been great. Okay? So unfortunately, this is probably not good enough. Now, the thing is, with any of these indicators, just because it's an indicator, there is no guarantee that it will work and actually give us good performance of anything. So one thing we could do is, for example, we increase our lookback period. This is the lookback period here. We had it at 20. Now we can do 200. And then what we do is here our returns are already calculated. So what we can do is we can rerun this with a different lookback period. And as you can see, actually different lookback period gives us a better result, right? 200 is definitely better than what we did with 20. Now, one thing we can do, of course, is we can try a whole lot of lookback periods. So what we could do, for example, is we just calculate these moving averages, right? And we put it in a loop. We could, for example, say for lookback in, and then we just create a vector, say 20, 50, let's say 75, 100, 120. So some people say, well, okay, 20 is actually so the 20 trading days, okay? So that's basically a month of trading. And then we could say, well, 60 is effectively 3 months of trading, some other interesting numbers. So 120, for example, is our 6 months of trading. And then 200 is generally a lookback period that is used quite commonly. And then we go 250 or 200, often 252 or 256 is basically the number of trading days in a year. So that's another one. And then, of course, 500 is roughly a 2-year lookback period in terms of trading days. So what we can do is we can actually run through this loop. And we can see, in fact, this wasn't ideal. Why? Because we've done 200 instead of specifying the lookback.